elementary school, and indeed they're closer to the staff that I requested that. Maybe they just didn't know. Yeah, the opposite direction or something.
I'd like to call the meeting to order. Please rise and join us in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Good evening, everybody. All right. May I get an approval of the minutes of the meeting held on March 12th, please?
So moved.
Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, we have two people wishing to address the board tonight. You each get different topics. So we have, actually we have three, but one is on an agenda item later in the, later on, and so we'll take that one then. But we do have two that are not on topic, Mandy Burkhoff and Peggy McGreevy. So you guys can decide who wants to go first, and you get 5 minutes, and just come up and address the board and just give us your name and address.
Behind you.
I don't know who the other one is, but
Thank you, and you just give us your name and your address, and you have 5 minutes.
okay, good evening. Is that good? Okay.
Yes.
My name is Peggy McGreevy, and did you say address?
Address, please.
705 East 29th Street, here in Sioux Falls. So, Dr. Maher, Mr. Vick, school board members, good evening. I have come here tonight with two concerns. The first, I retired from this district in 2013, 5 years ago. I taught here for 22 years, and before that, I was employed at the Sioux Falls Public Library for 8 years. I was first hired with the district as an elementary librarian in 2 buildings. But after a year, that position was eliminated due to budget cuts, and I was placed in the reading recovery training during the 1992-93 school year. I taught reading recovery from then until it was eliminated in 2011. That was 19 years of one-to-one reading instruction with first graders, and I loved it. My passion for children, whether they be students, my students, or my grandchildren, is to give them a lifelong love of literacy, to have the skills and the strategies to become a good reader, and then to discover the world of literature and the pure enjoyment of handling a book. Paging through a new book, enjoying the illustrations, and learning about authors and illustrators. For the last 5 years, I have been a substitute in the LI8 Literacy in Action program, which I have thoroughly enjoyed. Actually, I sub today for an LI8 teacher. I have been in several different schools with different populations. And every LIA student that I have worked with has told me the same thing when asked, do you prefer working alone on the iPad with the Imagine Learning program, or when you come to read with the teacher? And every student tells me, I like to read with the teacher. I guess I'm here this evening because I have a concern for the students who are currently being served in the LIA program and for classroom teachers. I'm concerned for the LIA students because I feel, well, they need extra support. They need that small group instruction. They will never be on an IEP or qualify for resource assistance. So I'm wondering what interventions will be available for them. I admire the classroom teachers that I see every day trying to meet the needs of every student. It is a daunting challenge. I cannot understand how a literacy program on an iPad or a Chromebook can support these students in reading the way a teacher can. I have tremendous respect for the work that classroom teachers do every day. I see many teachers who inspire me each time I come into their classrooms. And it is for them too I am concerned. For we all know that there are so many high needs in every classroom. It is a very different world than when I began teaching in a kindergarten in 1972. So I'm speaking from my heart for the students who are currently being served in this program and for classroom teachers. The second concern, I'm speaking for myself and all the other substitute teachers in our district, that I just feel that they need and deserve an increase in pay from the current per diem rate.
Peggy, sorry, I'm going to have to stop you, but
Thank you very, very much.
thank you very much for coming and speaking with us.
Thank you. And thanks for all your service to our school district as well.
Okay, Mandy Burkhoff?
Hi, I'm Mandy Burkhoff, and I live in Sioux Falls, South Dakota, and I live at 6001 South Cliff Avenue. What I wanted to address with all of you is the school lunch and how I, as many as other parents, don't feel as though it's very edible for the children. I ate lunch with my daughter about a month ago, and I don't know if any of you have seen the picture that was posted of it, but I ate lunch with her for a second time a couple weeks ago, and the lunch had not changed at all. It was dry celery. It was a burrito, bean burrito, that nothing, you couldn't undo it to put your cheese on it. And so I just wanted to address the school lunch issue. I had met with nutritional services over the matter, and I just don't know that anything is really being done about it as far as who oversees what gets served to the kids and how we go about not serving something that shouldn't go to the children. I did print off a lot of paperwork regarding the federal regulations and stuff that need to be met for student lunches, and nowhere does it say that it shouldn't be edible or for children to be served unripened fruit or not be given dipping sauces for their food or things like that. So, and in the paperwork that I was reading, it said how school lunches shouldn't be changed. They should be changed, but it shouldn't change the popularity of what children enjoy on the lunch menu. And I feel in Sioux Falls it's been changed tremendously to a point where I've seen a lot of children throw away their food, which means they go hungry for that entire day until they get home. And I don't feel that when children don't get adequate nutrition, tasteful food, that they don't get good education because they're starving and they're not able to pay attention to what's going on because their mind is probably on food. But I just feel like that was something I needed to address with all of you personally rather than around it. So I just wanted to bring that concern and how I and many other parents feel that the school lunch should improve. That's all I have.
Thank you very much for your time. Appreciate you
Thank
coming
you.
out tonight. All right, moving on. Can I get an approval of the agenda, please?
So move. Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right, good news report. Deanne.
I know this good news report is always a highlight of the night, especially when we can bring a student in before you to showcase some of the talents that we have out there in our Sioux Falls School District. This evening, I want to tell you about Caleb Miller. He's an 8th grade student at Patrick Henry Middle School. And Caleb, I've learned, has a habit of going above and beyond. Caleb submitted an entry into the C-SPAN Student CAM project, which requires a lot of research, a lot of filming, and a lot of editing to complete a final project. He submitted one of nearly 3,000 videos that were submitted by 5,700 students, and he won second place this year, which is fantastic. But above that, Caleb was a 7th grade winner. He placed 3rd, so he's moving up in his rank, not only his grade, but in his rank as well. And what's probably most impressive about this is that as a 7th grader, he received this as a school project. As an 8th grader, there was no requirement for him to complete this video, but he went above and beyond. And not only did he do it above and beyond, but he did it at a time when he was also working on his National History Day project that needed to be completed. So taking on just one more thing, Caleb was successful in his endeavor in submitting this video. And I'd like to invite Caleb forward, who can tell us a little bit about his project, and then we're going to watch. He has a video that's about 7.5 minutes. We're just going to watch about the first 3 minutes to get a flavor for what he was able to accomplish. So please welcome Caleb.
Good evening. So I worked on my C-SPAN student camp project. I found about the theme in July of this year. And so I've been working on it for the past few months, from July until January. And it was just so much fun to be able to do it. The theme this year was about the Constitution and to pick a provision that it gives us and explain it and how it is important to our community. And so I decided to choose the freedom of the press. And so I was able to interview John Thune, our state senator, and then Brian Allen of KSFY News, and just kind of see both sides of the see the issue from both sides of the aisle and kind of how it works. And it was so much fun to do, and I learned a whole lot. So. Over the past few years, the First Amendment has come up a lot, so why don't we go look at its history and how we got freedom of the press. These days, all the news we consume is online, streaming locally, nationally, and globally, which has brought on a new chapter in communication for current events. In the decades leading up to the Revolution, we see the first newspaper in 1960 and the first continuous newspaper. Now, a big piece for freedom of the press was the trial of John Peter Zenger, which was about a writer for the New York Weekly Journal, who insulted Governor William Cosby of New York. His defendant, Andrew Hamilton, was quoted during the trial saying, "It is not the cause of one poor printer, but the cause of liberty." The verdict being in favor of Zenger brought more freedom to the press, which was assured by the First Amendment. Unfortunately, only 7 years later, the Sedition Act passed under John Adams, which took this free speech away, and many people were incarcerated. Thankfully, when Jefferson assumed president in 1801, the law expired and he pardoned everyone convicted. Going into the mid to late 19th century, we see newspapers like the New York Tribune becoming more influential in the big issues of the day, such as the Kansas-Nebraska Act, the Fugitive Slave Act, and more. Getting into the 20th century, we see news expanding quickly, with the radio in the 1920s, newsreels a bit later, and when the television came along, more and more Americans started getting their news from TV shows rather than newspapers. By 1990, more than half of American homes had cable systems. Now, with the internet, news is becoming much more accessible. Almost 90% of Americans are online, and with an average of 500 million tweets sent each day, breaking news is everywhere. I've decided to take my questions to Brian Allen, a nightly news anchor of KSFY, a local news station.
How does the media affect Washington? Well, the media affects Washington in the perfect sense by taking the views and concerns of people here at home to the leaders that are working in the nation's capital. You know, we take our jobs as journalists very seriously because we want to communicate just the facts of a story. And in this political climate, that can sometimes be a little easier said than done because sometimes people have their own facts that might not necessarily be the facts. So then it's incumbent on journalists to ask the questions, to press people on all sides of the aisle, as I say. Nobody gets a pass.
So Caleb's video goes on for about another 4 minutes, and hopefully we've whet your appetite where you'll go and finish watching the rest of what he was able to accomplish. And Caleb already has plans for next year. I told him if you were third place at 7th grade, second place at 8th grade, you know, you can't stop now, right? So tell us about that.
So it's just so much, it's super exciting to be able to plan these videos and to execute my ideas and stuff. And so, of course, right after I received the news, that's always so much fun. And so I'm really looking forward to maybe this summer being able to do it again and hopefully being able to maybe move on. Am I right?
So I would just tell you, as someone who's done video in the past, that Caleb's video is nothing like a beginner. He used some really creative elements in his video production. And the fact that he is able to approach Senator Thune and Brian Allen and strike an interview with them really put some credibility behind his presentation. And I think we'll probably see Caleb in more ways than one in the next few years. So I hope you'll congratulate him along with me. His teacher is here, his principal, his parents, his brother. I have a sense that Josh got drug along. That's the brother. And then grandparents as well. So obviously he has wonderful family support in all that he's done, and we wish him well in the future. Thank you.
Well, again, congratulations, Caleb. I know that those aren't your only two activities that Deanne mentioned, but you are also very active in our local theater groups. So to put on this video and put the time into it, I know how much that takes away from other things you're doing, but you seem to be managing it all very well. So congratulations, and mom, dad, grandparents, and brother, teachers, principals, thanks for coming, and great job.
The next Spielberg.
All right. I did not see any conflicts of interest this week. All right. Can I get an approval of the consent agenda, please?
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. All right. And can I get a motion to approve the supplemental consent agenda, items 11A, 1 and 2, claims to Sanford?
So move. Second.
All right. Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. Opposed, same sign. And that passes with 2 abstentions from Board Member Ryder and Board Member Mickelson. Can I get a motion to approve supplemental consent agenda items 11B, 1 and 2, claims to Avera?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, that passes with 1 abstention from myself. And on to the reports of the superintendent.
Thank you. Our first report tonight is a Measures of Academic Progress Assessment Report. Here to deliver that report is Dr. Teresa Boyson.
Good evening. Report tonight is the NWEA Measures of Academic Progress, or MAP assessment as we know it. And just to update you with that implementation, we implemented K-6 last year, and so I just want to update you with that. The MAP falls under student outcomes for our district priority, and the priority statement is Sioux Falls School District will continue to foster an environment of high expectations combined with focused interventions and support in order to meet the learning needs of all students. The MAP is a computer adaptive assessment, like I said, the K-6 across the district. We give it 3 times a year, in the fall, the winter, and the spring, and we use the scores, it's a RIT score or a ROSH unit, to measure their progress and see their gains and their growth. The NWA gives classroom teachers and school leadership a normed reference method to measure that. We chart their growth. Students set goals. They receive feedback on their goals from the teachers, and that immediate response time is really a great tool to help students and teachers measure their success and identify areas that they want to target for instruction. The expansion across the K-6 allowed for us to really dive into some different areas with the map and see where the bright spots are across the district. We were able to look at building teams and see what they're doing and replicate that across buildings when we see high scores. What systematic approaches are they using, and look at that. Additionally, we used it as a screener for the gifted program, and in one building they had 31 students identified as possibly gifted, and 20 of them qualified, and they qualified between the 93rd and the 99th percentile on the COGAT, and that's our placement for the gifted program. So additional tools that MAP assessment has provided for us. We'll continue to use that moving forward to assist teachers and on instructional decisions using the MAP data 3 times a year and look at that. When we get it this spring, we'll really sit down again with the teams, look at that data, where are the bright spots, where are the strengths and the weaknesses, and how can we help that. We had professional development twice this year for those buildings with that new implementation. And we're looking at the feedback that we received from the teachers and the instructional coaches and the principals on that. And our recommendation is that we expand that into the 7th and 8th grade across the district for the 18-19 school year. And we'll propose that through the budgeting process coming up here. To expand that into those 2 grades would be an additional $43,593. We will offer professional development for the middle school also twice next year, and then continue our professional development with the K-6 population, just as we get more familiar with it and really diving into it, seeing this, how they can use that data to change instruction. So the summary, the map for Sioux Falls School District, the results have helped teachers and administrators make informed decisions regarding instruction, district programs, program placement for interventions, all geared at raising the level of student achievement in the areas of math and reading. The data provided by the assessment identified strengths and weaknesses from a single student to entire grade levels across the district. In addition to measuring student progress on the learning continuum, results can be used to measure the success of programs and interventions currently in the Sioux Falls School District. And so our recommendation is that you acknowledge the update of the pilot and the expansion to 7th and 8th grades for the FY19 school year. I'll stand by for questions. Yes.
One question. In the high school principals I've talked to about MAP, they're excited about this because it will give them more information coming from that 8th grade year for them to place those students. Do we need to look at any teacher development or building development for the 9th grade teachers so they can read the assessment, or is that something that's not necessary when they get the reports from that?
You know, that's a good point. And we will look at that and see if we can't do something internally. And with our instructional coaches, they're well versed on that.
Okay.
So that way they can help them with that identification and understanding what that RIT score means. So,
Thank you.
Good. Thank you.
Any other questions? Seeing none, can I get a motion and a second to acknowledge the update on the pilot, the MAP pilot?
So move.
Second.
Any discussion? Good info. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed, same sign. Okay, moving on.
Okay, our second report is an update from the Community Engagement Task Force. That report will come to you from our Director of Research, Innovation, and Accountability, Doug Morrison.
Technology to work with. Good evening. Purpose of tonight's report is to approve the 30-member task force membership, and then also the board charge to the facilities task force. So the responsibilities of the task force, really three things. It's to do an independent review of the district needs. So we've all seen the growing enrollment, and so they'll be looking at enrollment facilities across the district. And then they'll be guided by what's called a charge, and I'll talk about the charge here in a minute. It'll basically be the charge from you as board members to them as a task force. And then ultimately is to develop a recommendation to the board for your consideration. The task force steps, they'll be going through a variety of things, but they'll define the charge and current reality, so that will be essentially understanding the document or charge that you give them, explaining what the reality is, and then what you want them to do ultimately. And they'll be working to develop a shared understanding of that, so the district will be making various presentations for them so they have a thorough understanding of the current reality of the district. They'll be creating options based on what they hear and see and feedback that they gather. They'll be prioritizing those options. They'll be gathering feedback from the district. So in addition to what the district provides them as an overview, they may come back with different questions on things that they see or ask for additional information, presentation, tours, whatever it is to get them comfortable. They'll be reviewing input, refining options, so they may look at the survey that you guys are sending out, gathering feedback from the community, and ultimately they'll be finalizing a set of options for your ultimate consideration. The charge is basically a set of acceptable and non-acceptable guidelines as defined by you. So you have as an exhibit the charge, and what that is basically divided into 3 sections: the current reality of the district. So if you read through there, you'll see things like the current enrollment, what's that done over the last years, what it's projected to do, the enrollment that's in the district that will, the realities of that, the capacity of our existing buildings, the open enrollment facts around intra-district enrollment, out-of-district enrollment, the realities around the legislation, what we're able to do from a capital improvement perspective, what we can pay for internally. And so that's basically defined the reality. And then it'll move into a section on general guidelines. So guidelines will be essentially that solutions are aligned to the district's mission, vision, and strategic priorities, that the solutions are fiscally responsible, that they adhere to our facility standards, that they're prioritized, and that they allow the district to expand or contract with different enrollment shifts, to ensure that all buildings are safe, secure, and welcoming environments, and that their solutions are considered only after all community input. And then from that will be the third section, which are the desired results. And so what will be expected of the task force as far as results is that there are equitable opportunities across the district, that district capacity is flexible, again, so that it can expand with enrollment, that they have properly assigned or properly sized learning spaces. History will be honored. Buildings are flexible enough to allow for evolving curriculum change. Properly sized, outfitted spaces, and staff will have appropriate meeting and collaboration spaces. So this will all be presented to them at their initial meeting and understood basically that this is your charge to them. And so they will take this and use this as their sort of guardrails, guidelines as far as how they go and proceed with developing options for your ultimate consideration. Lastly, the task force member makeup. Through our conversations with the Donovan Group, our consultant arrived at a number of task force membership of 30. And so we started with, basically input from the Chamber of Commerce, input from you, and then ultimately input from the community as we pushed out through various media channels that there was a availability on the task force. And so ultimately we had a very good interest, upwards of 50 people interested in joining the task force. And so I think we had a very diverse slate. Obviously, we couldn't accept everyone. I would say that we tried to be as fair as we could. So when most of the times where we had a concentration, let's say we had 10 people that had kids in Pettigrew Elementary that wanted to join the task force, we kind of had to group those, and then we ended up just doing a random sample draw and selected people that way. So we were very, I think, thorough and fair in what we do. And so, and ultimately ended up with, for your approval, I think a great slate of task force members, co-chairs being Nan Baker and Vernon Brown. And so we're very excited about this slate of people. The one opening that we still have held back is for one student, one more student. We wanted to have 2 students on a task force, and we know it's a big commitment for students, so we have had one sign up and express interest, and so we're still looking for more. So if you all know of a student who this might interest you, we're going to hold that open and ultimately try to fill that with a student. And we also want to make it known for those who did not get selected for the task force that we will hold their names out there in case somebody at the last minute can't fulfill their obligations, because it is a big commitment. And we also want everyone to know that the task force meetings will be open to the public, and they're welcome to come and to sit through the meetings, and we welcome them to do that. And ultimately, the dates of the meetings have been set, so people who signed up knew in advance what the meeting commitment was. And so those task force meetings will be Monday, April 16th from 5:30 to 8, Monday, April 30th, Wednesday, May 16th, and Wednesday, May 30th, all down here at IPC. So we're very excited to start the process. We had our first engagement session today at noon, was very well attended, great questions, and so we're well on our way. But the next phase of this after the engagement sessions will be the task force, and then the survey after that. So I would ask for your approval of the task force membership and also the charge that will be going to the task force as far as the guiding principles that you want them to follow during their work. Stand by for any questions.
Thanks, Doug. Any questions? Okay, seeing none. Can I get a motion and a second to approve the Community Engagement Task Force update report?
So moved.
Second.
All right, any discussion?
Just a reminder that we have a meeting tonight, too.
Yep.
But otherwise, yeah, I'm excited. I think it's a fun time, a lot of change in the district, and getting people involved in different ways than maybe they have in the past. And I think we have a good variety of people with different backgrounds and different ages of students, some that are parents, grandparents, no children, whatever it might be. They all contribute to the success of the school district here in our community. And so I'll be anxious to hear kind of what their perspectives are and what their experiences have been, and sharing that with other people too. So good group.
Agree. Yeah, so we did have a session earlier today at noon, and we've got another one tonight at 7 p.m. at Lincoln High School. And then our last session will be tomorrow night, Tuesday, at 7 p.m. at Roosevelt High School. For those watching at home or through our live streaming on our YouTube channel, if you're paying attention. Okay, so we've got a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye. 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 Opposed, same sign. Okay.
Okay, our third report is the 2018 to 2020 Technology Plan Report. Here to deliver that report is our Director of Information and Technology Services, Michael Christofferson.
Thank you. Good evening, members of the board, Dr. Maher, and Business Manager Reek. Thank you for the opportunity to provide detail about the upcoming 2018-2020 comprehensive two-year tech plan put together by the Technology Learning Committee. And just so it be known, we did practice what we preached and partially collaborated on this via Google Doc. So it was technology-driven. Tonight's report specifically addresses the strategic plan's fiscal accountability systems management goals 1.1 and 1.4, review and development of the technology plan. As we talked about a month ago at the board meeting, technology is usually not an end into itself, and therefore can be found integrated into many of our strategic initiatives and all of our priority areas. The district technology plan is a document that guides the district in appropriating technology resources that are safe for our students, support district learning goals, and encourage innovative teaching and learning. Technology plans historically were created as a 5-year plan, and that were mandated to receive federal E-rate dollars. The plan is no longer required by the federal education department, yet we continue to find this to be an important process to create vision through ambitious and innovative goals while maintaining focus on data-driven best pedagogical practice. The switch from 5-year plans to 2-year plans is threefold. First of all, technology is changing so fast, and so we want to keep updated on that. Second, we continue to develop new strategies with the adoption of curriculum and resources. And third, we continue to align technology resources, software applications, development, and support to the district's strategic plan. The committee remained cognizant of the technology budget by examining total cost of ownership and the opportunity cost of alternative options in the development of this plan. The committees also received research and data for the plan from subcommittees, including the One-to-One Evaluation Committee and the Audiovisual Committee. Recommendations include suggestions from pilot implementations and anecdotal evidence from focus groups, discussions with principals, technology integration leaders, instructional coaches, teachers, and students. The plan has 8 sections, with Section 4 considered to be the focused action items. Section 4 establishes the plan's 2-year goals and consists of the following. So goal number 1, maintain and support the identification and evaluation of effective instructional technology resources guided by the SAMR model during curriculum studies. SAMR being substitution, augmentation, modification, and redefinition. Through curriculum studies and during the implementation of new curriculum, we'll work to develop learning opportunities that are transformation levels of SAMR, which are associated with and work in concert with the upper cognitive levels of Webb's depth of knowledge levels. A good example of this came to us at the last board report on the social studies curriculum review. The NBC Learn program brings the power of great stories, historic news reports, original video content, and current events coverage to engage, inspire, and educate students. Goal 2, maintain and improve continuous professional development and support for existing and emerging technologies through district level and building level resources. So a big part of this plan is the professional development piece of it. Professional development opportunities through multiple platforms will be used to transform student learning through effective blending of curriculum, instruction, and technology. Annual needs assessments will be conducted. Curated digital content databases will be developed for multiple levels of technology-infused instruction. Some examples of this include our instructional technology facilitator, his YouTube channel, and a Google Sites place for them to go. A la carte technology training such as ed camps will allow for personalized professional development for multiple content areas and different levels of comfort with technology. The District Technology Integration Facilitator promotes technology integration through custom video demonstrations, matrix guides, and trainings for staff, as you probably received some of those emails from him. Goal number 3, maintain, review, and update district policies and procedures. So continue to ensure compliance with the Child's Internet Protection Act, SIPA, and also COPA, Children's Online Privacy Protection Act. We tend to use a lot of acronyms in technology. And we'll continue to promote digital citizenship. We'll do that through engaging students in meaningful curricular content. We'll also continue to establish best practices for classroom management, including applications such as Land School software to help teachers see screens. Finally, we'll promote digital citizenship through our cybrarians and cybersecurity education through our partnership with Dakota State University. Goal number 4, develop a comprehensive plan to communicate implementation of identified effective technology resources. So we'll continue to communicate information regarding any kind of pilot projects we have going, integration in the classroom. We'll establish regular opportunities for teachers to bring examples of lessons which include technology integration within them. We'll notify parents and students of technology initiatives and policies. And for our staff, we'll provide a learning management system to provide a professional learning community for them to go to. Goal number 5, evaluate the impact of innovative instructional technology on student learning. So we'll establish evaluation plans like rubrics for all proposed piloted technology apps and programs. We'll look at technology use, making sure that active versus passive learning is being done with screen time. We'll monitor student engagement for purposeful use, so products like you've seen tonight from Caleb, we'll make sure that those products are being created in our classrooms. Well, we're also going to provide additional data interoperability tools that generate essential and timely scalable data for our users. So through products like Microsoft Power BI and Tableau, users will connect to multiple databases to provide timely analytics and visualizations of data, allowing comprehensive views of achievement and other customized data to help make data-driven decisions. Finally, goal number 6, last goal. Develop a budget roadmap to implement identified effective technology resources. District-wide, we continue to see an overall increase in number of devices that we have, and this is primarily due to increasing enrollment. But overall, ratio of devices to number of students continues to decrease. The additional capability and flexibility of Chromebooks has allowed less need for traditional and mobile Windows computer labs that we've had, plus the room to have those has got a lot smaller as our buildings fill up. We have also seen the quality of the Chromebook hardware has improved while the cost continues to decrease. Some of that cost savings is offset by the need for technology infrastructure and additional protection, such as increased needs for content filtering, secure backups, disaster recovery, and keeping data and networks secure. We are now in more of a regular replacement schedule versus when we initially deployed the one-to-one, which will allow for more consistent total budget requests and efficient distribution of our support mechanisms. Also, implementing a Chromebook one-to-one deployment in the 2nd grade is included in the plan. Based on the one-to-one evaluation and review of pilot implementations of Chromebooks in the 2nd grade, Code to the Future classes, and some of our blended 2-3 classrooms, the recommendation was made to start the one-to-one Chromebooks in 2nd grade. This would allow the following based on feedback from some of the pilots. First, it would enable teachers to do more pre-testing and regrouping to provide differentiated instruction. It would give students more opportunities to type and meet state technology standards while using a variety of digital tools to produce and publish writing. Third, students would have more time for applications such as Dreambox that helps with math to meet students at their instructional level and give insight for math intervention. Other programs include Epic, Big Universe, and other sites for research and other content areas. Students will become more familiar and comfortable with typing, and Chromebooks that will be used for a variety of assessments, such as the earlier board report with NWA MAP assessments and Smarter Balance. The committee recognized the additional need for typing resources and training for classroom management tools, such as Google Classroom. With the improvement in quality of Chromebook, the life expectancy of the device has increased and will now match the 2 through 5 grade deployment in elementary school, and therefore we're going to maintain a low cost of ownership. Finally, a subcommittee was tasked with researching and making recommendations for some of our aging audio-visual in our classrooms. The final recommendation was to create a reserve fund, similar to the district's infrastructure reserve fund that we have, and start allocating part of the next 2 years' allocations towards that fund for a future FY21 deployment. This would allow a greater number of classrooms to be updated at one time, allowing for more flexibility in product choice, increased competitive pricing, and included professional development and training with that. The committee also made the recommendation in the FY19 budget to remove all districts' video splitter boxes and purchase low-cost direct video adapters that work with classroom computers. This would allow staff to multitask through being able to control screen content, as well as save an estimated $779 per year in energy costs. The plan will continue to equip classrooms with technology that is seamless, sustainable, and flexible while effectively supporting 21st century learning goals. The 2-year plan provides a fiscally responsible, comprehensive guide that supports the district's instructional goals, educational vision, and strategic plan. The plan will be reviewed on an annual basis and adjusted accordingly as technology requirements change. So I ask the board to acknowledge the report of the district's 2018-2020 technology plan and stand by for any questions.
I have a few.
You
Sorry.
bet. No problem.
I emailed some today, but I bet you didn't have a chance to get those,
Yep.
so I was trying to get you prepared. First, I'll start with the easier ones. So with facts and physical education, my concern more as a parent in seeing those classes, especially facts, do we have a better curriculum for the middle school, especially regarding the online facts? Because I really saw a decrease in the effectiveness of that between my sons who had hands-on facts classes with the cooking and sewing and so forth versus doing mods on them.
Sure. So that's when I sent, it was basically on the facts curriculum. We do have that review process going on
Okay.
right now, so it's currently in review. Anything that I need to add on that one?
Yeah, it's the first year of the curriculum review. And right now, mostly what they're looking at are hands-on activities,
Okay.
not so much the.
So back to the one, those ones, okay. And then same with PE, so like what would a PE, I'm trying to envision what's a PE module online, I guess, versus actually
There's
having a
probably
gym
more-
class.
I would guess more of the health component side
Okay.
of the PE class would be done electronically.
Okay.
Not all of it, but, some components of the food pyramids or other nutritional values.
And then the one-on-one Chromebook for the second grade, currently, are they using iPads or are they doing the cart or what the second grade is doing right now?
Yep, so second grade has about 8 devices per classroom in a traditional second grade.
So how many of in the budget we have for first year, I think it's like 7,000 Chromebooks, 7,010 Chromebooks, would you say would just be like the second grade implementation?
Second grade would be probably about 1,900 of those.
And then you said the life expectancy is what, like 3 years?
About 4 years.
About 4 years, okay.
Yep.
And then, sorry, looking at these questions here. When these Chromebooks, after 4 years, is there no useful, I'm just thinking of these piling up in, big landfills. What's going on with them after this occurs and so forth?
Sure, so we do recycle them, and there is some value left on those for the parts that go out. We make sure to secure any kind of data that would be on any of the hard drives of that process, but in the end, they do get recycled to a manufacturer that reuses those devices for the physical components. But
Okay.
a lot of those are, out of date, so no matter what operating system you work with, a lot of times they'll hold that restriction on as they go out. You can't get the newest version of whatever.
And so if 7,010 and we have 1,900 being about the second grade, so is that just after, that's how many through our school district, about every 4 years, that's how many we're replacing? Okay, so
Right.
it's not new students, okay.
Yep.
Thank you, sorry for all
No,
those
no
questions.
problem.
Any other questions? Okay. We have probably stand by, but we've got Mary. You wanted to talk on this topic? You know the drill.
Yeah, I know the drill. Mary Shielbicey, 7625 West Regina Street. I sent you all an email so that I wouldn't stand up here and talk and talk and talk and talk. And there are links in that email that are more recent studies of technology in the classroom. I really have concerns about moving one-to-one to second grade. I'm just really hesitant about that. As Peggy shared, when she's working with kids, they would rather have a teacher. And even the kids who came into your work session said, they weren't big fans of the one-to-one, the high school kids. They actually preferred to have a teacher in front of them. We're doing all this stuff online. How much of the data sharing that's happening with these companies, what they're doing with the data, how much of that is being told to the parents? I think that we need to have a policy on that, and that parents should be allowed to opt into that data sharing. Because I understand, like the attendance program, they get into our system, and do parents really know that? More testing. I really struggle with that, more pre-testing. And I understand that teachers need to know, but really, how did your teachers know where you were if you moved? I moved 4 times through my K-12. Well, 1-12. We didn't have K back then. That's how old I am. But how did your teacher know? I will tell you, when I moved from one district to another, after spending first through half of fourth grade, I got to another district and they put me in remedial reading, but I was pulling A's in the school I was in. And they knew. They just knew. I just have to wonder if there's not, given the information that's in that email that I sent you, that, you know, the highest schools in the world, the highest ranked countries in the world, they really don't use a lot of technology. And I want our children to have the best. And I'm wondering if there's not a better place that some of that $4 million can go. I'm not saying cut out all technology, but do we have a better use for the $4 million in capital outlay? So that's all I wanted to say. And please click on some of the links in that email. There's a lot of more recent research. If you go back to 2010, 2011, 2012, all the one-to-one and technology research is glowing and wonderful, but there was just a study that came out a month ago that says kids don't retain as well when they're doing things online. So thank you.
Thank you, Mary. Okay, well, can I get a motion and a second to approve the technology plan report?
So move. Second.
Right, any discussion? It was a very thorough report. Really appreciate your time. I'm sure you put a ton of time into that, so.
It was a committee effort, so it was everybody.
Yes. I appreciate that. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate the time you've put in. I appreciate the point counterpoint that we receive from the public. I've been around quite a while myself. We did have kindergarten when I was in school, so but I've spent many hours over the last 10 years looking at the research that backs up the technology in the classroom and the benefit to that. And I also am very aware that we can find data and studies to back up whatever opinion it is that we're looking for. And I will tell you that I believe that in our school district, we do an excellent job of finding the balance between the value of the technology and the value of one-to-one and face-to-face. And I believe that the investment that we're making is well worth it for 24,000 students plus. And I applaud the thorough amount of work that goes into the reports and the data that you have gathered. I saw the list of people that worked on this, and I think it's thoroughly done, and I absolutely back the technology investment. Well, thank you.
I would just add, I agree, and I think everything in moderation. And I don't want to see second graders sitting in front of Chromebooks for 8 hours a day. That is not an ideal learning environment. But I think that it is important that they get their hands on keyboards to learn those skills, and that they understand how to take care of and respect equipment. And I look at students like Caleb, who he didn't learn how to create a video just by working on something at home. Like, that was teachers that inspired him, who are engaged in technology and who, you know, got him really interested and passionate to do things at home too. But I think you have to start with kind of a basis, and not every child is fortunate enough to have technology available to them at home. And so giving them a taste of different things, whether it's an iPad or a Chromebook, while they're at school, is an important part of their success as they grow up and become professionals in whatever it is that they decide to be post-high school. So I certainly understand Mary's concerns, because I too understand that second graders need to be social. They need to look people in the eye. They need to, you know, have those social skills and work together in groups. But I think, again, everything in moderation, and introducing them to things is important at that age too. So that's what I would add.
Thank you. Anybody else? All right, we have a motion and a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, thanks, Michael. All right, anything else for the good of the order? As has been mentioned multiple times, we have a community engagement meeting tonight at 7 o'clock and 30 minutes at Lincoln High School. We invite you all to attend and appreciate any feedback. So, can I get a motion to adjourn? So moved. We're adjourned. Thank you.